do it. Let's get this thing started. Just quickly introduce yourself.
Well, yes, my name is Mykal Tucker. Came to Calgary 2008. It was the first time I've been here for ever since. My first time actually we came down here was actually 94. So I'm not really new to Calgary. I've been here since 94. I stayed here for a year. And then I was like, Mom, this place is too country. When we first came down here, we lived in Falconbridge up in the Northeast. Went to James Fowler High School. And then after that, my mom was like, we got to get out of here. This place is like, it's like we're area we lived in. We saw like it was like more multicultural, more black people down there.
Yeah.
Then we kind of bounced out. She couldn't handle it. We couldn't handle it.
Okay, so you guys just kind of left
just left. I left after that 1 year. She went back to, I went back to Montreal and she went to Toronto.
Okay.
She started a business out in Toronto. I lived with my aunt and my cousin, the same cousin who started this clothing line. Like he was a little kid and everything. Yeah. So I lived out in Montreal because I wanted to finish high school with all my elementary friends and everything. Yeah. High school down there only goes to grade 11. So I stayed down there till like grade 10. And then I went to Toronto, lived with my mom in Toronto.
Okay.
And then out there, 2008, called my old high school girlfriend. Saw life was in Calgary. And then I moved to tour and came out to Calgary.
Yeah.
In 2008, when I came back down from 94, 2008, I was like, wow, this place has changed a lot.
Yeah.
Like big changes, especially downtown. Northeast has changed a lot.
Yeah.
So I was like, could live a life out here, raise some kids out here, because back east, I was living in Toronto. Those things were a little kind of hectic and stuff like that. I couldn't see this place like raising kids and everything.
100%.
So I decided, like, me and her, like, we know each other since we're 15, 14 years old.
Yeah.
I know her family. She knows my family. We'd always start having 3 kids.
Okay.
I had 3 kids. 3 kids later.
This was your first wife?
Oh, this is my second. My first wife was actually back in Toronto. I was 21 years old.
Okay, so that's when. So let's pause here. Let's.
You want to pause?
Yeah, I want to get everything.
This is
yeah. And because the subject here is primarily based on relationships, so we want to learn and grow. So here's the first question for you. In your first marriage, what do you think led to your breakup?
Oh, first marriage related to our breakup was she cheated. Pretty much, that's basically what it is.
Oh,
yeah, she cheated on me.
Was it like a revenge thing? Did you cheat on her before?
No,
and she was like, "I'm gonna get you back."
Because when I first met her, we were working together. She was very placed in this kind of progress. The relationship just built and went from there, and we had been together. In the beginning, my mom liked her, but as time went by, then my mom didn't really appreciate and liked her. Like when we got married and everything, I could see the sour look on her face. She wasn't very pleased at.
Your mother was not pleased at all.
My mom.
Wow.
You just your firstborn child, you're very protective of him. And I can see that she's very protective. There's certain things that she's seen in her that she didn't like it very well. My dad, obviously, he loved, because my dad just likes my dad's a big family guy. I come from like 2 sisters and 6 brothers, right. So it was a big siblings amongst us, right. And he's always liked children, always like family was a big thing for him,
right?
So he accepted her in. My mom didn't accept her in.
Wow. But she liked her initially.
In the beginning, she did, because it's like, she's like, oh, you're not dating a white girl this time, this is nice, finally getting away from the white girls and all that kind of stuff. But
okay, so this one was black or Caribbean?
Well, she was half Spanish, half Sri Lankan.
Oh wow, okay, that's
my pure attitude. So
that's wild.
That's what it was, Okay. So, but it didn't end very well.
Yeah,
things happen for a reason. We split. Like, she had a daughter I raised from she was 3 months to like 8 years old. So I took on the role as stepdad in that relationship. Being that, when we broke up, a split, separated, I went my ways and she went her ways. I still kept in contact with her because, I raised this little girl from she was younger. Right. And now she's like 21, 22 years old right now. She's a grown woman.
Yeah.
And kind of, I talk to her on her birthday, every time on her birthday, see how she's doing, how things are going. and then she's doing good. And I'm kind of proud of her, you know.
Yeah, well, no, man, that's excellent. Well, here's the next question. I mean, did she ever give you a reason to why she cheated? Like, what do you think from because cheating just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? I mean, some people they don't care.
Like I don't think she really cared. I just don't think she really was into it. I think we kind of going through the years, things kind of went our separate, we're drifting apart from each other. I don't really think that she was really into me. I think it was more of a revenge thing on her baby daddy kind of thing. Like,
oh, I see. Okay,
So
and
I
you
think
were
she-
kind of like a rebound guy. I mean, it's messed up to say, but
yeah, I honestly, yeah,
that's a lot of
when you
reality.
get older and you get older in age, and you start looking back in your life, you start to go, oh, I was a rebound. This is what she used me for. It's like a scapegoat kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like she wanted out, but then I don't know why she stayed with me for that long.
How long were you guys
I stayed
together
with her for long because I loved her.
Yeah.
I married.
You were heads over heels.
It was more when I first met her. It was more like a physical appearance thing kind of thing. Like you look and I was like, wow, yeah.
Oh, she was beautiful. Italian, Sri Lankan, like
Yeah, like Spanish Sri Lankan. Like it's a different mix. I never seen that kind of mix for her. And she was a beautiful girl. She was a beautiful woman. Like I don't think I've ever dated any ugly looking chicks. Like me was always when you first meet someone, it's always something physical 1st. The first thing that attracts you is physical.
Right.
And then. And as when you move further down the road, you belong with the person, and you start to know the person more. Right.
Do you still pick like your partners like that? Is it the looks first and then personality next, or like?
I think it is when I first meet someone. It's always I think it's always the physical attraction first that gets you to know that person. You
Absolutely,
want to get to know
okay.
the person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when you start talking to a person, I always tell my friends when you meet someone, it's like the first thing you see, they always have a mask on because they don't want to show you what the whole personality is like. They want to show you something to make you attract to them more. And then once you've been with them longer, the mask kind of comes off. You see their true personality kind of
See
thing.
who they are, and then you're no longer infatuated by that
It's
beauty,
not,
that
it's
thing.
not, yeah.
What do you feel like? What did you learn from that experience that you perhaps apply to your second marriage?
To me, when I got married the second time to like my high school girlfriend, it was pretty much because I knew her, she knew me. Like we knew each other from when we were younger, back in grade 10. So we knew each other's personalities more. Like it wasn't more of the physical; it was the physical and then the personality. Like to know the person more. So I think that was attracted me more to her. And then she was my second wife. She was it was I know her from inside out. She knows me inside out. Her personality was more of appealing, more attractive to me because she was such a genuine, sweet woman.
So it wasn't so much about the look; it was more about the personality. I'm
Yes.
sure she was beautiful, but
It was more, and yeah,
it was more about the personality and
how
what you
she
guys
is.
had in common.
and how she and how she treated me. It's like you always want to be with someone who's going to treat you well. You
Right.
don't want to be with someone who's going to dog you out, call you this, call you that, this and that kind of thing.
That's right.
And I think with her was this: she was always sweet, always sweet. And to me, it was good. But getting in when it was always sweet, like to me, there's something still not right there. Because when I've told someone before, like I worked at this place called Goodbye Graffiti, and this guy's owner, he had his son working there, and I told him, like, it's nice to have someone who's sweet, but not all the time you want to be sweet. Like there's still something missing.
Something missing. You need that balance.
Exactly. You need the balance. You can't always have like something always nice all the time and there's no fight. Because to me, that's still an unhealthy relationship.
Right.
The same thing I was saying is like you be with someone and all you constantly do is just fight. Right. You can't always be someone who's always sweet. You need to have the balance
To have the balance.
to me that's what I wanted. Like I couldn't have someone who was always nice to me all the time, even though she's sweet, but then there's something missing. Like there's something part of this saying like I'm missing something out of this. Yeah. Like when I'm doing something stupid, I want to be called out on it.
Fair
Not
enough.
just someone just saying just deal with it and just move on. Like, oh no, you've been ass. I could deal with it. I'm not going to argue, but I'm not going to talk. Like I would need that you kind of need that challenge in that relationship.
Yeah. You know what? Speaking of challenge, what do you feel were like the main challenges or issues that arose in your second marriage that perhaps led to the breakup?
I think what led to my second divorce was how would I put this? Like I said, it wasn't challenging to me. Like if I'm doing something wrong, I want to be called out on it. So that if she was being so nice and sweet to me, like there is that is not something it was not balancing me whole inside. Like I wasn't feeling like this is what I want. Like when we got into this discussion, me and her, like we still talk because we have kids together. Like we're still good, and plus we know each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we kind of discussed like what was the issue that kind of led to us breaking up, and the fact is what she wanted in the relationship and what I wanted in the relationship didn't match.
What did she want in a relationship?
Well, there was one question that came up. I heard on the radio and kind of thing was like, if a guy held your mom and held a gun at you, who are you going to pick to save?
That's a tough one.
Right? And then she told me, she goes, I don't know how to decide on that. Like I can't pick that thing. I'm like, to me, it's like, if I married you and we start a family, our family's supposed to come first. Our family's supposed to come first. Like if someone said,
yes,
like,
it's a tough choice.
It's a tough. Yeah, I understand.
You don't.
But we start a family. Like me and you are husband and wife, and we have a kid. So our family unit is supposed to come first before anything else. I know it's tough. Like I don't want to lose your mom or dad, but just think you go down the road and saying like, oh, how are you gonna tell your kids? Oh, I picked grandma over your dad. To be a family.
Yeah, that's such an interesting question. It puts you in this situation where it's like I'm not sure this is the word for it, but this sort of utilitarian idea where for the greater goods, you do things for like the greater goods.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, I guess from your vantage point, the greater goods would be picking your family over the mother.
Yes.
And I'm sure now if this questions was put on to you, like how would you pick? The mother or your wife.
It's a hard choice. But then at the end, I'm thinking, my mom gave me life, so I could build a life and have my own family. Mm-hmm. So like she did that sacrifice for me. I'm going to do the same sacrifice. So like if something with my son, if one of my sons said that some guy told me to pick my wife or my dad, I'm saying, listen, you pick your wife over your dad. I know I brought you in this world so you could build a life and have a life. Mm-hmm. I gave that up and I gave you life so you can live, do your thing, and take care of your family. I already done it. Like I raised you, you become a man, take care of your wife, take care of your kids, because this is your family. This is what you chose to build. And then she just chose, no, I don't know how she was like, I love my mom, I love my sister. Like, I understand that. I love my mom, I love my dad, I love my siblings.
Passive progressive.
Kind of thing. I was like, and that kind of clicked in my head. I was like, so to me, it's things like you don't really want us to be a family. It's like you really choose, like, so I'm just basically giving you kids, and then you got your kids, you still have your kids, your mom, your sisters, and you're happy, you're content with that. It's like there's no room for me.
But some people don't really know how to make difficult choices. Not even difficult choices, just making day-to-day decisions.
It's true.
A lot of people, you'd be surprised the number of people that struggle with that shit. Like,
it's true, but to me, but I
see where you're coming from. That can be very frustrating.
Yeah, it was frustrating to me because then I was thinking to myself, like, you know what? Then you don't really love me the same level as I love you, and I put you in that same category or that pedestal kind of thing. Like. So why am I here? That was why I looked at it. I'm like, then things just kind of went down. We start arguing a lot more. And then another thing led to was financial thing. That's another big thing that a lot of people break up is financial money. It was like, she did something and I was livid. And I was like, you know what? That's kind of like the final straw. I'm like, you don't choose me, and then it's like you're just using me for my money. Like I didn't make a lot, but whatever I came in, it was hope to provide for you and the kids, our household, our financial stuff, like so we could live a good life.
Right.
So if we're taking that stuff away, what else are you gonna take? Like I just like give, and like where do I fit in? Like I moved all the way from other side of Canada for us to be a family, to start a family, and then you kind of don't consider me that important part of the family.
Right.
So, and that kind of led to us kind of splitting, going our own separate ways.
Wow. Yeah. Sorry sorry to hear that. That's a tough one.
It's
And
tough, but that's how comes some life is. Like your relationships are like you're trying to build this kind of thing. That's what communication. That's where communication comes in. If you don't have that communication, that strong bond, talking things out, and seeing where each other's minds are at, how can you go and build a good, important, strong family household?
Very good point. But I want to challenge you. I understand she's not here, and I'm sure, if she had the opportunity to probably tell her side of the story, it may vary a little bit.
Oh yes, of course. There's always two sides to a story.
Of course. So I want to, since you're here, I want to ask you, rather than just consistently focusing on her, I want to know, like, what do you feel like the things you did, in a relationship? Actually, in fact, the proper question is this: how did you try to address or resolve those challenges, that you guys were having?
How do you address it?
Yeah, how do you address that?
There was I know at just one point one time she asked me if we should go to like marriage counsel, and for my mindset I should like yeah, but my mind was kind of on thing was just it's already done. Like I was kind of just finished with it. I just didn't want to.
Counseling before?
Yeah. No, we haven't. Because honestly, in the beginning, like you kind of, I think it's more like pride. Like, why do we need to go see someone to tell us how our relationship should be?
But I think a lot of black people take that shit for granted.
It's true.
Us, we take that shit for granted because the way we see it is like, we think it's like common sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm in it. I've been doing it for a while. What can that person actually tell me? And a lot of us too, we're not open. We're not open to the possibility of being vulnerable in front of strangers.
It's true.
But the crazy thing about it, we're vulnerable with strangers all the time. It's like when you meet a woman,
mm-hmm.
you don't know her from anywhere.
That's true.
You're being vulnerable just by approaching her.
Right.
We do that shit. But certain vulnerability, certain aspect of it, we can justify.
Mm-hmm.
Just go into a shrink, go into a counselor, sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what the fuck? Why wouldn't we do it? I don't know. Maybe it's like part of our genetics, some crazy history.
Well, because I think it was like, I'm old school. I'm 45 years old. And like when you're younger,
dude, you don't look it. What the fuck? What are you doing?
Oh, really? And I thought the gray hairs kind of gave it away, but
Well, the gray.
But what I'm saying is like, I have good genes, my dad.
There you go.
My dad has great genes.
Let's just put out the secret.
And you were young when you're younger. You were always told, like, you've heard it from before. I don't know about you, but I was sure when I was younger, is like, men don't really share their feelings. Especially black men don't share their feelings. They don't do that. It's kind of, you suck it up and just move on.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So I was kind of grew up with that kind of aspect. You don't really talk about it, like go to counseling, talk to someone about it. When I was younger, actually with my first marriage, I actually went to anger management.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I had to go to anger management. That's what because they think I needed it, because they thought I was angry. It's just because a lot of things I just kind of closed off. I didn't want to share my emotions. I don't share my feelings with these people.
Okay, so are you that? With which people? With the counseling or
with counselor, with strangers, all that kind of thing. Is like like I have an older brother. When things were rough and tough with me, like I would sit down and talk to him.
So you had someone you can.
I talk to him about it, because I kind of looked up to my older brother. Like he's been married. He's been with his girl since for a long, long time. I know since I was like 17, 18 years old. They used to work together. She used to be his boss and all this kind of thing. And they have 3 beautiful kids together.
Wow. Okay.
They have some issues they go through. Like he would call me sometimes, like stuff I having problems with him, and he would call and talk to me about it. We sit there and we talk through things about it. And like around this, that, and then that kind of stuff. Like same thing with me. When I had problems, I would talk to him about it. Mm-hmm. So why do I need to go pay $300 a session to some stranger that doesn't know anything about us and build my soul?
I don't think it's the I don't think it's the money, because do you think like it would have helped you in your relationship journey, like your marriage and whatnot? Do you think
honestly, there's times
you kind of regret it now? You think about it in hindsight, you're like, maybe I should have tried.
I should have tried it.
Yeah.
But then there's still something part of me that's like, I was glad I just moved on and let her do her thing. Because I didn't want to like stifle her, stop her from.
But do you
doing what
think
she
that was
wanted.
more of like your ego, like your own thing, where you're like, you know what? Because sometimes, us as men, we do that. I do that too. Whereas like sometimes I feel like I should be making certain decisions.
Yes.
But I'm like, well, no, I don't want to. I don't want my opinion to be the reason why she changes her mind to do it. Sometimes
Exactly.
we almost expect them
Exactly.
to
You
automatically
kinda-
do
yes.
those things. But
It's-
I don't think that's how the real world works. Somebody needs somebody to tell somebody, hey, listen,
Yes.
this is not working out, and this is probably where we gotta go. And if you have another perspective on that, I like to hear it. But I think that initial stance have to be taken. But I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, you're younger. It's like the whole you're too proud kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're like, it's I kind of see things if it's not done my way, it's the wrong way of doing it.
Yeah.
You kind of ignorant on that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but as you get older, you look back on your life. I was like, at the age of I'm looking back at my life and certain things like, you know what, maybe I should have done that way. Maybe my family could have still been like a whole together kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, if I did that, is there other problems going to arise? Is more issues going to arise, or am I still going to have that thing in the back of my mind, thinking, you know what, this is what she said, and like maybe she's not really into me that way she says she's really into me. She doesn't love me the way she says she really loves me.
I hear you. Listen, let me ask you this question: do you feel like you are a good husband?
Like looking at yourself, hindsight, stepping back at 45 years. When did you get married your first time?
The first time I got
What age were
married,
you?
actually, that is a long story. I don't think we have enough time for that. The
No,
first
just a
marriage-
short one. This
Okay,
is a quick snap it.
The
Age.
first time I got married, it was 21. I was way too young, way too young to get married. And he tell people this way: you don't really know life at that age. You're still wanting to party, you still want to hang with your friends, still want to do stupid shit sometimes, and then at the same time you're trying to balance family lifestyle being the wild boy. It doesn't really work. Some people, they say it might work for them, but it didn't really work for me because I'm trying to be a good
When you
husband.
say the wild boy, are you saying like player?
Well, you're
or like,
no, not about being player.
Okay.
Like you want to go out, chill with your friends, not listen to you still want to do what you want to do. You can't have your wife telling you, oh, you gotta do this, I need you to do this. So you're like, you know what, woman, I'm young. I just want to go out and party and just do this kind of thing. You want to go to the clubs, you want to pop bottles.
Were you guys like the same age?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were actually she was she was same age. She's like a couple months older than me.
Okay, but same age.
The same age.
Do you feel like so looking back now at 45, were you like a good husband? I want to go back to that question.
For my first marriage, I thought it was. I thought I was a good husband. I thought I was doing like you're supposed to do, as the man's supposed to help provide and take care of his wife and take care of his kid, even though it wasn't my kid.
Okay. So providing financially.
Financially.
What about emotional?
Emotional too. I thought I was.
Okay.
But I think it could have been done better because there's certain things when you're younger you don't want to hear that kind of stuff. You don't want to hear.
Yeah.
You don't want to deal with because that's between you and your pastor. And it's kind of I don't want to deal with that. I have my own issues to deal with.
Yeah.
Like you kind of had that separation kind of thing. Like you didn't want to do that. My second one, I think I could have probably got done much better. She always says like, you're always kind of angry, always want to do things your way. This. I'm like, well, listen, moment, it's my way or no way, kind of thing, And now looking back, it's definitely wrong. Yeah. Like you don't want because what you're showing and you have kids, you don't want your kids to see that because you're pretty much the copy that we kids want to see, right? You want them to grow up to be someone like you, even better.
Right.
Like you don't want to show that to your kids because you don't want them growing up and then they're having issues with women. Not saying being physical, like abusive kind of thing, but it could be abusive emotionally, mentally. You don't want that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want my kids seeing that.
Were you physically? I mean, this. I asked a lot of questions. No. Were you physically abusive? What do you feel like? Because I'm just trying to understand. Like I'm not married. I've never been married before. Mm-hmm. I've been in relationships and things of that nature, but. There's always so much layers to a relationship. Why it works, why it doesn't work. So I had to really try to understand and try to pinpoint like the actual issues and what led to what. You're married the first time, that didn't work out. Okay, you got married again the second time, that also didn't work out. All right, now we're trying to figure it out. Is there a pattern? Mm-hmm. And if there's a pattern, then whom is that on, or is it on both people? Is it one of these sort of fair deal? We really want to understand where you're like abusive in the relationship, whether it's physically, emotionally, or verbally even.
I don't think I wasn't abusive.
Yeah.
Like I would, like my mom when I was younger, my mom was abused by her boyfriend, and I watched that kind of stuff, and I knew I could never ever do that to a woman. So being abusive is not in my vocabulary to be abusive to a woman.
You know what? I can relate to that because when I was younger, I grew up in this community where it's like almost every dude in that community every day was beating their wife. I mean, some of these women were crazy, believe me, but like at the end of the day, I saw that when I was young, and I was like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah, so
and I can't do it. I don't care.
And now that I have a daughter, like, do I want her man to beat her too? Like, no, like, I could never ever do that. And I told my from the get go, this is your sister. You protect her, no matter what happens. So, like, my sisters grew up. When my sisters grew up, they knew no guy could touch them because they touch them, they have to deal with all her brothers. Like, which dude wants to deal with like six black guys come down on you, right? So they're protected. And I think that's the reason why some of them were like kind of mouthy too, and they knew could get away with some stuff because they had security at home. You know what I mean?
Right?
So,
Yeah.
So, but at the same sense, you know, like my sisters were tough, strong women. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, what's the deal with that? What's the deal with this whole tough, strong business, man? Now it's backfiring now.
It is backfiring.
Yeah,
but, you know. But I always say it's like women are the ones that rule the world.
Yeah.
It's a woman's world, you know. You like, and you are just lucky to be part of it.
So you actually believe that it's a women's world? I don't want them to come after me, but.
I mean, that's a whole other topic we'll get into, but yeah,
I know. Okay,
it is a woman's world, you know. Like, and she could actually, they could say if they play the rights properly, they can control a lot of shit. A lot of men think, oh, we do because we have the money. Well, this is like, but honestly,
but you're not talking like physical control. You're probably
I'm not talking
like
physical control. No, mental control. Like, women don't have to be physical to control you. They don't.
Right. You're right.
They don't.
I read what's that play? That old play, something Strata. It's just Strata. It's a play about all these men going to war in the days, and nobody wants to stop the war. And the women are like, please stop the war, and like nobody's listening. So then this chick, Aristostrata, was like, all right, cool. Since you guys don't want to stop the war, no sex for you. and so two countries are beefing with one another. But then the women would come.
Control you. These men, it's like you stop the sex from them. And what was a man gonna do?
And that's how they were able to stop the war.
And that's how the women can control you. These men, it's like you stop the sex from them. And what was a man gonna do? Whoa, you stop the sex?
Okay, it's a tough one. But we are going off subject now.
Okay, right? Okay, well, but I'm just saying, yeah. But that's the truth. It's like I could never physically abuse a woman because, you know, I seen it growing up. I've seen friends. They're not really friends now, but I seen them do it to their own women too. Yeah. And I seen women, female friends of mine who've been in an abusive relationship, and I just
it doesn't sit well with me. That's fucked up. Here's another question for you. What personal insight or lessons did you take away from your experiences in both relationships?
I kind of see is what makes me work, what makes me tick, what makes me work, or what I like, you know. Okay. And I take that from both, like what they weren't giving me, what they were giving me, and if it affected me personally. Like, there's certain things that they did that I didn't like, and certain things I did like. But then I take it to my next relationship. But it's like when I doing certain things or acting a certain way, am I being true to myself? And that's one big thing I think was a problem, was like I wasn't being true to myself. Like, I need to be who I need to be, and then you need to find someone who lets you to allow you to be who you are, and they could be who they are. Like, you're not trying to change each other, but at the same sense, you're still coexisting, working together. Mm-hmm. Like my girl now, she's who she is, and I am who I am, and we mesh very good together. Like, she gives me that balance, the balance I need. Like, first marriage was always argue. The second marriage was always sweet. Like, there was still something missing, and for this one, I got both. I get the challenges she gives me challenges. She challenges me a lot as a man, as a person, and as a father, even as a stepdad sometimes. Mm-hmm. And that she still be who she is. She doesn't shy away from who she is as a person, mm-hmm. and she allows me to be who I am.
That's incredible.
I think that's the reason why we work very well together.
How long have you guys been together?
Going on 2-3 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been short, but I'm telling you what, the first time and the first thing is like, I didn't approach her.
She approached you.
She approached me, and like, and this is thing nowadays. And the thing nowadays is like, when we were younger, how we used to meet a person is like face to face kind of contact, kind of meet. Nowadays it's like it's all window shopping through a phone, right? And
I like that phrase, window shopping.
It is.
But you're absolutely right. It's like you're not buying nothing, but you could.
Yes, swipe left, swipe right. You know, you're like, oh, I like this item. I don't like this item. I like this item. So, but I was on this dating site, and then I got kind of just sick of it because you get messages from women and they're saying certain things to you, and all they pretty much what it was I found was more like physical thing they want. They just want this. Oh, can you come over this so we can do this? Not trying to get to know me. It's just like they just want the dick.
Women were doing this.
Oh my God! I couldn't believe it. I thought men were more aggressive going to women over that. Some of the women were like this towards me. I was like, you know what? I'm getting kind of sick of it. I was on all these dates. I was like, I was closing them out. I was like, I was just done. I said, let me just focus on my kids. Let me focus on getting some paper kind of thing. Like, let me focus more on my photography.
Right.
So as I was getting off this website, I get a message from this woman. It said, and she said she liked me. I was like, okay, let me look. And I checked it out. Complete different from what I kind of look for in a girl.
Wow.
Like,
I'm not on any dating site.
You're not on a dating site.
I'm not. First of all, I don't even like the idea. Like I
don't, because it's new. Because like when we meet someone, it's like you meet them face to face or through a friend, and like, oh, I have a friend that wants to meet you, kind of thing.
Right.
That kind of way, the old school way. But now this new kind of where it's like you swiping on your phone, like you means you dating through the phone. But the same thing when I was getting off of it, she approached me and sent me a like. So I was like, okay, wait a second, I'm gonna check it out just one more time before I actually close it down. She was completely different. I used to like the thick women, long hair kind of thing.
Okay.
This one was like this little skinny little. She's not even from Canada. Like she had an accent and everything on her. So when I first met her, we started talking. It was like she had the Russian accent. I'm like, oh, you're different.
Where's she from?
She's from Russia.
Okay.
So like straight Russian, like the Russian accent still speaks Russian and everything. Like sometimes when we clicked it so well together. Like sometimes she speaks Russian to me. Like she doesn't realize she's speaking Russian to me, but for some I understood what she's saying. Like I'm answering her back everything in English. She goes, "Oh, you understand what I'm saying to you?" Like sometimes I forget I'm speaking Russian. And I'm like, we're so like this. I'm like, oh, yeah, I understood everything you're saying. Like everything you're saying to me. Like now it gets to a point where I'm kind of speaking Russian back to her kids because they're kind of bilingual. Mm-hmm. And I'm speaking back, and then people ask me, "What are you saying?" I'm like, "You speaking Russian?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "How you know Russian?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm like, I got to kind of learn kind of Russian." Her son she has an autistic son, and like he learns, and her son impresses me much because he's autistic. He was born in Russia, but he comes down here. I could speak English to him, and he understands what I'm saying to him. Mm-hmm. He understands. He picks it up.
That's pretty incredible.
Just so. To me, and we kind of just mesh very, very well.
That's incredible.
It is, and then I was like, you know what? I kind of got what I wanted. I got the balance I wanted. Like she challenged me as a man as I want. I look at her. I'm not bored of her. Like I'm still learning from her, and I think that's another big thing when to make a relationship work very well is like when you stop wanting to learn each other, trying to figure each other, trying to do things to keep the relationship going very well. That's when things starts going bad, and we don't do. And she makes sure I don't do that. Like she, Mykal, you woke up in the morning, you made coffee for yourself only, that kind of thing. Just kind of selfish kind of thing, it's a group thing. So she challenges me on things. She pushed me in my place, kind of thing. Like what kind of thing I need. You need sometimes some men need the structure. They kind of miss. They get, and for me, I need that structure kind of thing.
Absolutely.
That was one thing that I would impress me with her was that, and not only that, I find that she's so beautiful and she's always creative. She wants to do these kind of projects. She's always something new with her. I'm like, and going down the way, being together that long, yet there's still new things.
Even after 2-3 years.
After that long, it's still new things that I'm still learning.
That's amazing. So let me ask you a question. You've been married twice, and of course, you have a beautiful wife now, which is congratulations, by the way. That's it's very impressive.
Girlfriend, she doesn't like to be called wife.
Girlfriend, okay.
She's not into the. She's been married twice herself. She goes,
Okay.
once you put the ring on her finger, the relationship goes downhill. And I agreed with her because that's what happened too.
Okay, so no more marriage for you.
No more marriage. We're done getting married, bro.
Done getting married. Just staying like that now.
Just saying, like, it's just you're
Okay.
my boyfriend. I'm your girlfriend. I'm like, yeah.
Here's a question for you. What advice would you give to someone who is considering marriage or is currently in a marriage that is struggling? For the people listening.
Then I asked them this: do you guys talk? Do you guys communicate? Do you guys make time for not just family time? Do you guys make time for yourselves, each other's selves, and you guys have time to make stuff for together? So, like what we do, what I think works very well. I think what we do is just I have me time, she has her time. We have family time, then we have our time. And then if you have those things down, where you can actually do you, and you could do family things together, for us it works. I don't know if I can't speak for everybody else, but for me it works.
How do you now? Let's run through a typical day in your household.
Right.
How do you structure, or let's do a week, because that will give a pretty good understanding of what goes on there. So, how do you structure those things? How do you structure the you time, the family time, and the relationship time? Because I sometimes struggle with that. I mean, I struggle with that a whole bunch, to be honest, because I'm one of these people. If I'm in front of that computer, I just want to stay there.
Right. She does that too. And sometimes you got to remind them. Sometimes, like you're working too long. You wake up in the morning, you're working, and it's like 9 o'clock at night. You're still working, and it's time to like shut it off.
Yeah, I do that.
I'm
very bad at it. I'm terrible. I'm the worst.
You need someone to cuff you back in the head and say, "Listen, it's supposed to be our time." Like sometimes men need to structure time type too. Like having a schedule. I think having a schedule kind of works. Okay. Like
how would you schedule it in a week?
Like
talk to me like a child. Like
a work week. If I'm working back, I'm back in the city. I would get up in the morning, go do my 8 hour, 9 hour, 10 hour job, come home, talk to the. I always have to give her a kiss. If I don't give her a kiss, no, I'm getting shit if I don't give her a kiss.
Okay,
so come home.
Okay,
I have to give her a kiss because she reminds me,
kiss. Okay,
and kiss me. I'm like, okay.
At that time where you don't want to kiss her.
Sometimes I come home from work. I'm so beat and so tired. I just want to go to the bathroom, have a nice hot bath, put some Epsom salt in, play some music, and just don't listen to no one. Just lock the door.
Don't hear nothing.
Oh my gosh! But you try to do and you can't do that sometimes. When you have the kids in the house, you can't really do that. I think what really helps us out work well is like they have their dad, so they go see their dad time, and I have go see my kid time.
Okay.
So like every other weekend, there's like one weekend is all the kids are together, like my kids and her kids. So like there's 5 kids in total.
Yeah.
And then the other weekend we have it's our time to do some stuff. We got some go to bath, we take a trip somewhere, or just go to a restaurant. Not even that. We'll just stay at home, watch Netflix, and just chill in front of the movie and just relax or just have a conversation.
Okay.
Like I think that's what the problem where some people are getting frustrated and get stressed out with. I'm like, and these people who, if you're not like that, if you're still like mom and dad on all kids together, get a babysitter. Find a babysitter. Make time for yourselves together. Because there's a lot of people, my second marriage, like, we had grandma take over to kids sometimes, but we never really did do much together. Like after a certain time, you get too comfortable in a situation where you don't get out and explore or don't get challenged each other to go do something. And I think that's what kind of diffused us. Like in the beginning, people were looking at us. I don't know if you remember Andre. Andre himself was like, you guys like the poster people of marriage. Andre Jones. He worked for United.
Andre. I don't think I know Andre.
You ever worked with Andre?
No. I don't know.
How long he's been there for so many years? Andre, Black Andre. The supervisor was always at Suncor though.
Jamaican guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I met him once.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. That's why the name doesn't pop up. But I met him once, my very first year in the field. I met him once. It was very brief. It was for like, he did night shift, I did day shift.
Oh, okay.
It was very, very brief.
Yeah.
That was it. That's why I don't know him. That's why the name doesn't come off like that. But let me ask you this question. Um, and there's just after this question is then there's one last one.
Yeah.
Um, how have you worked to heal and move on after your divorce?
Oh, that's a good one.
After 10 questions, I better have a good one.
I don't know if you. I don't know if you. I don't think you really heal though because you. So I'm looking at where I'm looking at this my relationship now, and then I take. You're not supposed to, but I kind of still look at it now, and I look at my previous ones and see like, how come I couldn't find what I have now back then? And to me, it's just like, why couldn't I just done that before? I could have been happy. But then you always hear things happen for a reason. I still feel sometimes I still feel bad. I still feel sad about it that it didn't work out. Like I failed. Sometimes to me it feels like I failed. I failed them. I failed myself. But then it comes back to this, like a whole lot of stuff in because I don't want my kids to see it kind of thing. I want my kids to see that I'm still happy. Their mom is still happy, and that me and her still have a relationship even though we're not together. Like we're still friends. We still talk. Like we could still run things to each other. Like, Mykal, this. I need help with this. Oh, I'm there. Tyrese has soccer. Can you pick him up and take him to soccer practice? So we're not involved in each other's lives, but we're still involved with each other, kind of thing. And the same thing goes with her and her baby dad. Her baby dad. I don't like. They still have a good relationship because they have to have a good relationship because of their son. Mm-hmm. You want your kids to see that you're still happy. You want your kids to see things could still work out. That there's no fighting, there's no animosity, no fighting between you two. Because that will affect the kids. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I do not want. I want my kids to grow up to be happy. I want to know the kids that their parents still love each other, not in that way, but they still love each other, respect each other, mm-hmm. and they still love in that group setting. Okay, if you get what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes
that's very interesting to hear you say that you don't really think you heal from that. I mean, I've never been in that situation, so but I mean, right now, you know what I'm thinking though when you said that. Mm-hmm. I processed this idea. I said, well, you're like, okay, so you're 45, so you're still like super young, and
I don't feel young. Tell that to my body.
Well, that's between you and your body. You should have slowed down at 20. But so at 45, you're still like super young, and sometimes you feel guilty, and that kind of makes sense. But now I'm curious about another 30 years added on to that. You know? Would that guilt grow more and more, and maybe what kind of things you need to start thinking about implementing now, hopefully to kind of dissolve what's next. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I think in the next 30 years, you start to I think you start to forgive yourself.
Okay.
Like I think.
Yeah, I heard that.
I need to start forgiving myself for this.
For everything.
It didn't work out the way you wanted to work out, but things happen for a reason, and now you're happy where you are now in life. Okay. Like if you're not happy with where you are in life, then you got to look more into yourself and see. And I think I guess we need to guess where the therapy comes in. So talking to someone.
I'm telling you, and I was kind of going there. I didn't want to be so direct,
But yeah, I think that's because we don't want to like we grew up as I grew up in therapy is for the weak. It's for the weak mind and that kind of stuff. You don't want to deal with that.
I think like for me, my position has completely just switched on that. Like I don't believe any of those things. I think like, look, man, if you're cut, you gotta go to the doctor. Mm-hmm. Right? You can't just go to grandma and let her put like some Band-Aid on it, home remedy, whatever. Sometimes it works, sometimes, but you go see who can fix it. So I think it's the same thing. I feel like those emotional things are far more worse than being physically cut or even losing a finger.
It's true.
Because it's just there. It's linger. You think you got to figure it out, but really you don't. You hear all these side stories all the time about people going off and doing X, Y, Z. Right. These very heinous things that you wouldn't imagine the guy next door to be up to, but he done it because, didn't take time to heal.
because he hasn't dealt with it, and like
He hasn't dealt with it. A lot of us move on to new relationship. And we don't even.
because he hasn't dealt with it, and like
He hasn't dealt with it. A lot of us move on to new relationship. And we don't even deal with the old shit.
Exactly, don't, and we carry that
shit all the
same
time,
luggage from the last relationship to the new relationship, and adds problems to it.
Yeah.
I think that's where it comes, and I think that's where you find someone that you bottle it up inside. We don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And if you don't talk about it, it's just going to keep it's like a pop out. You keep shaking.
It's going to explode.
It's going to explode.
It might be temporary explosion, but nevertheless, it's going to explode. And I think like one of the things that I just come to realize is like, look, man, you can't just blame people for your shit.
No,
You know, you have to take personal responsibility and put yourself in that look in the mirror very hardly and say to yourself, man, I fucked up there and I probably shouldn't have done this. Maybe I should have done this way. Or if it's like money issues in a relationship, fuck, man, I need to figure out how to make more money.
right.
You know,
Exactly.
fucking communication issue. Well, fuck it, I need to figure out how to communicate better. So like my next partner, we ain't got to go through that.
Exactly,
and
and I think you need to. And the thing, if you're trying to look for a relationship, you need to find someone. Like to me, I found someone who actually calls me out on that. The problem with my second marriage with, I'm just gonna call her name, Natasha. She a beautiful woman, sweetest woman in the world. Like,
Was that just like a made up name?
no, that's her real name. That's her actual real name. Her real name is Natasha. Natasha, I know you're watching this, or you probably watch this, but yes, I'm calling your name out. I'm saying you're a very sweet girl, but sometimes I think she's a little too sweet. So sometimes she needs to have that little dog fight inside of her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Rustle down and
That's
that's very important. You know, you need balance because sometimes as men, I feel like 10 things that we need to have figured out, but we out of those 10 things, we're probably really, really good at 2.
Yes.
Or maybe 1. And then the rest of it, we need somebody else to be like, yo, okay, no, you do this. Sometimes we just really need that, especially for creative.
Yes.
Creative minds never stops. They just keep going and keep coming up with ideas, constantly thinking and
constantly going
thinking.
through your head.
And sometimes the simplest thing is right there in front of you, but somebody has to be brave enough to point that shit out.
Yes.
Otherwise, you just kind of, start diving off to like different places that you don't want to be.
It's true, and you go off and you start thinking like, this, not, and then you're like, I kind of like some deep in my sometimes like, I wish someone could just like give me some kind of direction a little bit, tell me like, I'm fucking up with them, I'm screwing up this kind of thing, and I praise to this one. I thank him. I was like, he sent me someone like, she always told me this before. Be careful what you wish for, because you keep manifesting, it will come true.
Responsibility comes to
she,
responsibility.
and pretty much she is. Because I told myself, I kind of miss having a family. I love having a family around. I miss having my kids around, that kind of stuff. I miss having a wifey kind of partner in their household, help me build a future of being a life. And that's what I got with this one. Not saying that other ones that didn't have it, but in the same sense, I'm still getting the balance and stuff that I need, the nutrition that I need from her to not process, but going forth in life with that stuff. And I'm so glad.
100%.
I'm so glad.
What do you believe is important for success and fulfilling relationship? Fulfilling marriage.
What in a fulfilling marriage?
What do you believe is important for a successful and fulfilling marriage?
Again, goes back to communication. You communicate. You be honest with each other. Be honest with yourself first. Be honest with yourself first. Be honest with your partner. Being honest with their partner, they can, and if they're honest with themselves too, then you guys can see where things lie in. So you don't have that whole disconnect. Because if you have that disconnect and it's not the issue, you're just going to keep driving one way, the person can keep driving the other way. Because they're thinking, oh yeah, you're going this way with me. Meanwhile, you're going this way. If you don't have that communication, you don't have that talking, you don't have that understanding, and you're being true to yourself and they're being true to them, then you're just lying to each other. And when you're lying to each other, eventually a lie is going to come out. The truth is going to come out.
100%. Whatever's in the dark always comes to light. Right?
Always comes to light. Take off when I met this one, I didn't have a mask on. I showed them who I am up front. Because when all relationships in the beginning, like back in my beginning of my times, you kind of look back and like, you know what? I portrayed my way of doing this way just to get that person. And once I got that person, my mask starts peeling off. So my true personality come out, and it kind of, I would say it was a disconnect between me and that person. Because it's like, I always tell them, like, every relationship you meet, the first time you meet them, you have a mask on. You think you're, this charming, Prince Charming, this kind of part, that kind of, and then you be with that person, and then something slips up, and they see your whole personality, and like, oh, whoa, what the hell did I just get into? And that's where the disconnect comes in.
100%. 100%. Well, man, look, with that said, I think we did it here. We got to bring it back for another episode.
Yo, bring me back. You know, I told you I got stories to tell you. People were mind-boggling. And like I was at work. You know, when we were singing at United, I was telling people I was having this conversation with this guy Ali.
Yeah.
I was telling Ali about he's talked to me a lot about relationships because you know he's grew up in a Muslim faith and as Muslim the way they do relationship is totally different.
Oh,
And he
100%.
had so many questions. So and I basically told him, I said, listen, Ali, I did this, and this, and this. He's like, wow. And I told him about my first marriage, how my first marriage actually came apart, how it actually happened, my first marriage. And he's just like, are you serious? That really happened? I'm like, yes, is how I first got married. And he was just like, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. That's like actually really, like you see that kind of stuff in movies. I'm like, well, this is what happened to me. I guess my life is a movie. So me telling him how it went off, and he's thinking, I was like, you know what? I don't even know how you did end up doing it. I'm like, well, it's different from you guys because what you guys get, because my dad's side of the family, my brother's side, because they're not really full, they're all half. They grew up in a Muslim faith. You know, they had the whole.
Your father.
My father's side.
Okay.
Yeah. They grew up in a Muslim faith.
Yeah.
My mom's side, we grew up in a Christian faith.
Okay. Yeah, same here.
So it's kind of it was different,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The structure of everything was different. And to me, I see some beauty in their like the heritage and the old ways of they doing kind of thing, especially nowadays with the whole new technology and way of dating kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I still see beauty in it, but in the same sense, I still see there is stuff that you're kind of ignorant to.
Absolutely.
Because it's not the same way. The world is not the same way we used to grow up.
No, the world has changed.
The world has changed significantly.
It has changed.
We used to go out, come home before the light comes on, before the street light comes off.
Yeah, yeah.
If you don't come home, you know you're getting a whooping from your mom,
Yeah, yeah.
especially grandma. Grandma don't play no shit like that.
100%.
Now it's different.
It's
Now
very different.
3 of my kids, 15, 12, turning 8, all have cell phones. They get contact me, text me, tell me where they're at. I got
GPS
one day I went to go pick up my son from his mom's, and it's like dark outside. I'm like, oh, where are you going? We're toboggan in this dark hour. Oh, we're going toboggan to my friend that's over the hill down there. I'm like, isn't it too damn dark? How are you going to see where you're going?
Yeah.
It's different. It's a different era.
It's a different era. There's a lot of things to learn. There's also a lot of things to unlearn.
It is true.
But I think that's a burden and also blessings adjustment that we all have to make. Whether your uncle, whether your father, whether your husband or grandfather, grandmother, mother, we all have to make those adjustments because
the world changed. You don't keep up with
it's
the world.
changed. It's changed. It's very hard now. Most people don't even know what the kids are up to.
you don't, and
Nobody know.
you don't, and
Nobody know.
being a father is a blessing and a curse at the same time. Being a parent, it is.
Can you imagine?
I love the fact that I have kids. I love watching them grow up and watching them develop and all that kind of stuff from day one since the little babes so they're growing, doing their own thing now.
Yeah.
But the same sense, you don't know what's going on. Like school's now different. It's changed. The society of the around right now is totally different. And half the time, like you go to bed uneased because you don't know what's going on.
And that happens to you?
It happens to because my son right now he's 14, turning 15 January 1st. He's going to be 15 years old. And the things that he's doing now, I'm like, oh my God, why? Why are you doing that? This, and like, how are you doing this at this age and like so young already?
Just the start.
That's just the start. And then I got to worry about my little daughter. You know, she's going to grow to a woman too. And then she's going to have like these like hoodlums trying to come after her. My daughter's pretty. I don't care. I'm telling you, Natasha, we made some beautiful kids. I'm telling you, we made some beautiful kids. And my daughter is like having a girl out there is totally different way we having a boy. You raise them totally different.
Yeah.
You try not to, but you raise them differently.
You're more protective over the.
I am so overprotective of my daughter.
Yeah.
My sons, I know, like they could take care of themselves.
Something's gonna happen. They can do whatever.
Oh my gosh, no, they can't do whatever they want. You know, I still tell them. I'll say, listen, do this. You gotta be You can't. You have. I teach you how to be a gentleman. Don't be a bum out there. Don't be what the rest of these hood rats out there.
Do your daughter sometimes try to like get at you by saying something along the lines of, "How come he gets to do this and I don't?" Like, Is she at that age yet? Where she's doing it?
She has done that.
She's
done
tried
that.
her luck with that.
Oh, she has tried that, and she said it to me like, and then you trying to come with a good enough reason to tell them not just because of gender kind of thing, but you try to give a good enough reason. I'm like, I tell them, no, listen, because you're too young right now. Wait till you get a little bit older. Yes, for sure. I got business cards. I'm actually going to put my plug out there.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna plug my thing. Is just
we should do some photo stuff together.
yes, for sure. I got business cards. I'm actually going to put my plug out there.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna plug my thing. Is just good advertisement. Listen, I'm a photographer in Calgary. Expo Images. You can find me on Instagram.
I
Find me on
love that
Facebook.
name. Expo Images.
Expo Images.
I like that.
Expo is because of Montreal.
Exposure.
Montreal.
Or is it just the Montreal?
Montreal Expos. I always wear the Montreal Expos hat all the time. Like,
Okay, is that like the team?
the team? Yeah, they do. You used to have a baseball
okay.
team back then, so they'll do Expos.
okay.
And good advertisement. Listen, I'm a photographer in Calgary. Expo Images. You can find me on Instagram.
I
Find me on
love that
Facebook.
name. Expo Images.
Expo Images.
I like that.
Expo is because of Montreal.
Exposure.
Montreal.
Or is it just the Montreal?
Montreal Expos. I always wear the Montreal Expos hat all the time. Like,
Okay, is that like the team?
the team? Yeah, they do. You used to have a baseball
okay.
team back then, so they'll do Expos.
okay.
And they, hopefully they come back. If they don't, don't worry. I still got plenty of Expos hats, and like I always Expo Images, man. It's kind of represent for my old Montreal life.
But I like the name. It works. Expo, because again, Expo can also be short for exposure.
Right.
That's what I thought.
You could use that Expo